Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Good afternoon, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans, into episode 14 in season 3 of the MMJHL podcast. I'm your host and just your host for this podcast, Graham Forsyth. We're brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico Movement, Fitness and Performance, Elite Prospects, and Goaltenders. And as for today's episode, it's only going to be me going solo. We're going to preview tonight's All-Star Game. We're also going to get into the scores from last night, how we started off the week on Thursday night in St. Vital, and mostly going to be about the All-Star Game, the rosters, diving into them, the selections, and previewing what we're going to have in store for you all tonight. As I believe it's the first time ever that the All-Star Game is being broadcasted. Certainly for us, it's our first time. $10 is the price of admission to be able to watch on our U-Screen service tonight, just simply because it's a specialty game. And can't wait to get into the rosters in this edition of the show. But before we do that, I want to get into what the standings look like. There's 4 teams that have clinched playoff spots. The Stonewall Jets and Charleswood Hawks most recently are the teams that have clinched. And before that, Transcona, the first team to clinch, way before the others, St. Boniface was the second. As for the River East Royal Knights, the St. James Junior Canucks, and the Fort Garry Twins, with the Canucks on a 4-game win streak, the Twins on a 2-game win streak, and the River East Royal Knights seeing their long 5-game winning streak snapped. Things as they were even before then, but they've tightened even more up here, as River East only leads St. James by 2 points. Same with Fort Garry, and they both have 1 game in hand on River East. And for Fort Garry, they're going to be taking on Transcona tomorrow in the only game that's on the MM schedule. As for the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, a loss for them and a win on Thursday for the St. Vital Victorias tightened things up in the playoff race for that last playoff spot. As for the Pembina Valley Twisters, they gave everything they could against the Fort Garry Twins last night, but it wasn't enough as Fort Garry was able to come back. But here's how January ended in the league. St. Vital, 2 straight losses, 2 tough ones, but bouncing back on Thursday night this past week, so 2 days ago, with a big 6-goal performance against the Charleswood Hawks. They scored 6 unanswered en route to that very crucial victory for them. They basically got to win out, in my opinion, or as many games as possible. They got to be able to string together a long winning streak, because that long 15-game losing streak really set the Victorias back. But what was really nice to see from them was the response. They gave up 23 shots in that first period, only put up 6. Mason DeBeck held them in the game. He only gave up 2 goals. And then St. Vital started to turn up their pressure, started to win on the forecheck. A magical goal from Jackson Green on the power play, going end-to-end, tied things up heading into the third. And then St. Vital kept working at it, winning on the forecheck on the 3-2 goal scored by Dinez, and then able to take advantage of bounces going their way, scoring off the rush, getting behind the Charleswood defense. For Charleswood in that game, kind of a disappointing outcome. It always is when you blow a lead like that and in the fashion that they did. It seemed like as the Vics started to put more pressure on them, they started to falter more. And for Charles Wood, you gotta, question, does this team in the playoffs, if these things continue to happen, have a very long lifespan in the playoffs? They gotta figure out, I think, a few things quickly. This is a team that has good potential. Keegan Gordon got the start in net, and there's a few goals I think he might have wanted to have back, but I think Charles Wood really needs to focus on shoring up the little details in their game moving forward, because this is a team that has a lot of skill. They have a lot of speed, but they run into some problems sometimes with their puck management issues, and sometimes, teams, if they're able to get good pressure on them, winning down low, things, kind of break down for Charles Wood, like it would with, any team that got pressured constantly, because the Vics were all over the Hawks in that game as it went along. Started to keep the shots tighter as the periods went by. But yeah, credit to St. Vital for being able to go out there and putting together a solid 60 minutes, or rather 40 minutes. Still looking for a consistent 60, I think. And that, among other things for the Vics, have been issues this year. But for St. Vital, it's all about looking forward. And, well, they'll be back in action coming up on Tuesday in the league. But before we get into that schedule, we take a look back at last night. The St. James Junior Canucks with a huge victory over the top-ranked Transcona Railer Express. 4 different goal scorers in that matchup, being able to keep the shots tight. These two teams always seem to have close battles. St. James, I feel like they're a team that's built to go up and do very well against Transcona, a team that plays very physical, a team that plays with speed, and a team that has a few game breakers, as we've seen. Jaden Ward, I know he didn't get on the scoreboard as a goal scorer, but Nicholas Cullen is another player that comes to mind for this team. And then, of course, Carson Warsaba on the back end, and they got a lot of other great talent. But it's a very young team compared to some in the league, a team that is only aging out one player, and a team that I think this has been such a valuable experience for them this season, being able to go on a run like this. Multiple times they've been able to string together a good amount of wins, but being able to do it against the Transcona Railer Express, getting a victory against them is always huge, especially when that's a team that's in first place. As for the St. Boniface Riels, they're back into the win column, as this squad ended up blanking the Raiders Junior Hockey Club after the first period. So yeah, St. Boniface back in the win column for this group and controlled that game, just looking at the shots, 45-15 in favor of St. B. As for Stonewall, winning in a close one against the River East Royal Knights, breaking their 5-game win streak as mentioned. And yeah, this was quite a battle. Stonewall down 3-2 after the second period of action, but pulled through with 2 big goals in the third period. As for the Jets, the goal scorers in that game, Peyton Bateman scoring twice, and then, of course, Kai Smith along with Gavin Halad. But it's Gavin Halad and Peyton Bateman in the third period that are able to get their team the victory, powering through. Bateman with his 26th of the season on the power play to win the game about halfway through that third period. But yeah, defeating a River East Royal Knights squad that, if they're able to come away with those 2 points, they're right behind or even tied with Stonewall in the standings, and then only a point behind the Charleswood Hawks. But as for the River East, as mentioned, a 5-game win streak heading into that matchup against the Stonewall Jets. They had some great wins along the way during that win streak, but even though they fall short, just looking at the statistics, even though Stonewall led by 41 had 41 shots, led by 11. River East is still able to put up 30, and a hard-fought matchup between those two teams. And then Fort Garry powers through with 4 goals in their second period of action against the Pembina Valley Twisters. Pembina Valley went up 1-0 after the first period of play there. But it was Fort Garry sticking with their process. That's a game you can go watch, by the way, on our Uscreen service. Fort Garry, they tie the game up at 1 apiece after the first intermission, shortly after 2:42 into the period. Pembina Valley would take the lead back again with a shorthanded goal from Kedem Mawal, assisted by Sawyer Leedy. But then it would be 3 unanswered for the Twins. Fort Garry would score a power play goal near the start of the third period, but then the Twins would add on 2 more. They had 2 power play goals on the night, en route to a huge win for them, as mentioned, still tied with the St. James Junior Canucks in the standings, as these two teams both looking to get into that 5th seed or even higher, as things are tight once again in the standings, as they have been for the past number of years in the MMJHL. But what's to come? Tomorrow, there's going to be only one matchup. Transcona at home, looking to bounce back against a Twins team looking to win 3 straight. That game is going to be at 12:45 p.m., and we're going to have it broadcasted for you live on our Uscreen service. We're also going to have 2 games on Tuesday night, as it's Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow, so the league doesn't like to schedule games in the evening. It's only why they have one. They don't even like to really have many afternoon games. But league action resumes on Tuesday night. There's going to be no Thursday night games because of this context. But we're going to have 2 of those games. We will announce them coming up in the next few days as we sort out our schedule. Taking a look at the points leaders, Peyton Bateman with his huge night jumps over his teammate in Gavin Halad in the point totals, as Bateman having a strong season, making a strong case for being in the MVP conversation, along with Gavin Halad. Jaden Ward has been fantastic too. Tyson Sperber, Cole Davis, Nolan Vandenbush. Things are pretty tight in the points race and the leaderboards, as you can see. And then, the only goaltender that has 21 so far is Sage Delarone. The closest to him would be Alex Dominico and Spencer Hunnam, as they both sport 15 wins each. And then Kyle Buellman and Mark Salmon round out the top 5 there. 3 of these goaltenders are going to be in the All-Star game tonight. All of these players you see up top, 2 are going to be in the All-Star game, and we're going to be breaking that down next. Coming up on this edition of the MMJHL podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
And welcome back to the show, MMJHL fans. You're watching this edition of the MMJHL podcast. Excited for what's to come tonight. First ever time getting to watch an MMJHL All-Star game. I asked around, asked Carrie Lyons what to expect, my Uncle Mark as well. They gave me similar answers. I won't dive too much into them, but basically it'll be like any All-Star game, right? I don't think we're going to see players going all out tonight. I think certainly we're going to see some skillful plays on display, but it's not going to be, I think, the 100% these players usually give, or maybe it will be. I don't know. Maybe this will be a bit of a different type of All-Star game where players are going hard and we see some big hits, is that would be on theme with the MMJHL. But it's Team Black versus Team White. Before we get into that, however, just want to give a congratulations to Peyton Bateman, winning Player of the Month for January with just over 2 points per game. Caden Berchansky, a game changer on the defensive side of things, got recognized as Defenseman of the Month. Kyle Bielman stepping up, winning Goaltender of the Month, putting together 5 wins in January, and only giving up 16 goals in all of those games, as he had a goals against average of under 2.5, a save percentage of .926, and then Gavin Salamacha, Rookie of the Month, as St. James continues to see their players recognized. We've seen Ward, Warsaba get awards so far this season, and yeah, Salamacha joins what's becoming a long list of Canucks to get recognized this year on the January edition of the monthly awards in the MMJHL. Guess there's only a few months left in the league, really 1 full month left before we hit the playoffs coming up in March. But the All-Star Game, on to it, as this is going down 6:45 p.m. tonight at Eric Coy Arena. Our pregame coverage is going to get going around 15 to 10 minutes before the game. But yeah, 50% of your proceeds go back to the MMJHL. This is a big night, a historic night for us, as we've never broadcasted the All-Star Game before. We got some pretty cool things in store as well. We're going to do some different things throughout the broadcast. You're going to also hear some interviews, hopefully, if we can get those working, with a member from the league. We won't reveal that yet, but hoping to have players on as well, but maybe even coaches. In terms of the teams that are going to be going at it, how these teams are set up is Team Black is going to consist of Transcona Railer Express players, Charleswood Hawks, River East Royal Knights, Fort Garry Twins, and St. Vital Junior Victorias players. Team White will consist of St. Boniface Riels, Stonewall Jets, St. James Junior Canucks, Raiders Junior Hockey Club, and Pembina Valley Twisters players. And in terms of who has the advantage, like I love the way they've stacked these teams, very even in terms of where these teams are placed. In terms of the Railer Express, they're the highest scoring team in the league. The Riels, with the defensemen that they're bringing, Evan Lambert and Dylan Bachneck, obviously a part of one of the best defensive teams in the league. And then goaltending-wise, like, both teams are stacked with their goaltenders. Owen Larocque, Sage Delarone, Spencer Hunnam, and Kyle Bielman, all game changers for their teams. The most players going from the Transcona Railer Express. St. Boniface Riels have a lot of players too. Same with the Stonewall Jets, as they're going to be suiting up quite a few players. As mentioned, Peyton Bateman, Gavin Halad, Cole Davis, Tyson Sperber, Nolan Vandenbush, and Jaden Ward all got All-Star nods. And yeah, really excited to see what these high-end players are able to do together, what type of chemistry is going to be out there. I think all the selections, too, there's not really any snubs when you take a look at it. I like the mix of vets and rookies being recognized. For the St. Vital Junior Victorias, Blake Goretzky, Liam Saxberg, I think that those were two great choices. You could have made an argument for Tyler Free to go, as he's leading the team in points, but to be able to put up the seasons that Saxberg and Goretzky are having for the Victorias, as defensemen, having the points that they have, how much they can carry the load offensively, I think that was a pretty great choice by, coaches, the selection committee in the league, whoever selects these players, to be able to recognize those two with the seasons they're having. And yeah, in terms of goaltenders, I don't really think that they made a mistake. Maybe you can make an argument for Alex Dominico or Mark Salmon to be in there, but you look at how strong of a season Cal Beelman has had down the line for River East and the success that they've had, and I think that was a great choice. There's not really any holes in these rosters in terms of snubs. I don't really think there's any. I think they got it pretty much right. Owen Van Robeys and Ethan Wild for the Twisters. They're the only two going from Pembina Valley, and when you take a look at the leading point getters, both of these players are top 5 in points on their team. Maybe you could have picked Josh Golford, Olson Darby as well, but you take a look at the points per game average, and both of those players are top 3 on their teams. So maybe you could have chosen 2 different Twisters throughout that top 5 in their scoring, but I think that overall those are 2 fine choices. Both players showcasing a lot of skills in their game. Really no surprise with a lot of the names on this list. Kalen Briggs being recognized for a great rookie season that he's having, top of his team in points, while among the top 3-point getters on the Fort Garry, or the Charleswood Hawks. As for Fort Garry, Drew Russell, a rookie, getting recognized too, as for Drew, among one of the leaders on his team in points, and just taking a look at Fort Garry's points in total, he would be second on the team in points this season, with 5 games less played than David Balshaw, and is only 5 points back of him. So I think that from top to bottom, the vets that got selected, you got the top 5-point getters in the league that are going to be here. In terms of top 10 names, in terms of points, Lane Richardson did not get a nod, which I guess that could be maybe, I think, debated that he could go. Maybe that's probably the biggest snub out of them all. Ryder McClure as well, just taking a look at this top 10, but 8 of the top 10 point getters are going to be here in the MMJHL All-Star Game, and I think that, you obviously can't select everybody, and there are always going to be misses, but or maybe snubs in some people's eyes, but I think overall, coaches, teams, the league, they got this right, and looking forward to what's going to be a pretty good All-Star game tonight, I'd say. I'm not sure what to expect, if it's going to be high scoring or not. I could see that being the case. Maybe we got more of a defensive game, but overall it should be an exciting night of MMJHL hockey, a historic edition of MMJHL Game Day coming up, as Bentley Brandt is going to be on the play-by-play call, and I'm going to be doing some different things. You'll just have to wait and see for that. But yeah, as mentioned, it's $10. Be sure to watch it on our Uscreen service, gshowproductions.uscreen.io. Puck drops at 7:45 p.m. If you want to tune into our pregame coverage, it's starting around 10 minutes before we get the puck dropped on the game. But as for this edition of the MMJHL podcast, that's going to be the end of it, everybody. I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Consider doing that if you want to stay up to date with when we release new episodes. Next episode is going to be coming out sometime in the next week. As we get closer and closer to playoff time, we're going to have a recap on the All-Star Game for you. Going to show you highlights from it, as well as we'll have highlights from every game from the past week of action that we've done at that time next week. And yeah, we're going to even bring out power rankings again, bringing those back, and going through some other things as well, all to do with the MMJHL. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to a great All-Star game tonight in Iroquois. If you're going, can't wait to see you there. if you can't go, consider tuning in on our network, on our service on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. But until the next episode, everybody, for episode 15 here in season 3, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. Peace out and waving so long. Take care, everybody.